this guy's a serious professional.
Brett screwed Brett.
Hold 2, armbar.
Hey, get a nice shot of the brand new Mr. and Mrs. Hunter Hurst Helmsley.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate your hat. I hate your t-shirts. I hate your wristbands. I hate your shoes. I hate your music. I hate the C Nation. I hate everything that you stand for.
Sodas rule.
Yeah, they do.
Hold 3, the moss-covered, 3-handle family Gradunzel.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
Welcoming you to the first episode of the RCWR Show of the new year, 2013. This is the Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders, welcoming you all to this episode on blogtalkradio.com. Also heard on Stitcher, and my good friends, if you don't have that Stitcher app, truly you are missing out, as you'll be able to play our episodes on all portable and devices. Stitcher, new and smart way to play internet radio. What's up, boys and girls? As always, I have the lovely co-producer Tammy with me. Lovely Tammy, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year, Lee.
It looks like we are still alive, so for those of you that might have been pushing the hell out of that Dave Matthews Band song, Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. Well, you gotta go into work the next day. Sorry, you gotta go to school. Sorry, it happens. But all that talk about it's the end of the world as we know it. Nah, sorry, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, we kind of have, as there's another song, One More Day, but of course, day after day. But we actually have to do a little housekeeping right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And for those of you that would like to know what we're going to be talking about on tonight's show, we're going to cover the very latest fallout from WWE Raw. We're also going to cover the very latest in wrestling-related news. And also, we're going to cover the Extreme Rising pay-per-view that went down this past weekend, where the first ever champion was crowned for the Rising pay-per-view, and it was none other than Stevie Richards. Give you the final verdict on that pay-per-view if it was a pass or a fail. But as the lovely Tammy alluded to earlier, there's a little bit of housekeeping that we have to do. And we do have the chat room that's open right now on blogtalkradio.com, so feel free to jump on in there and you can share some of your reactions to a number of the topics that we're going to be covering tonight. You can also share your thoughts with us on Twitter at Infinity1Prod and Facebook at Infinity1 Productions.
Right, as I was saying, as far as there's some housekeeping that we need to do right now, and this is going to take about 10 minutes, maybe less. But if you have some dishes you need to do, some cleaning, take out the dog, do a load of laundry, please feel free if you're listening to this live and you're like, what in the heck is going on here? I have no clue, so on and so forth. So if you're listening to it on the download, just fast forward. But right now we're going to go through and just do a little housekeeping. In the last couple of weeks, we've actually had a lot of drama surrounding the show. Our person that works for us, Zed, even Lee. So we've had a lot of drama that's been going on. What we want to start with now is we hope that you continue to have us be that take me away kind of a moment, and listen to it. No drama, no life, for instances, just time to sit back, relax, and enjoy. But we've actually been catching a lot of heat for the closing of the phone lines, and then it started with that. It's gone to a whole nother stratosphere at this point. At this time, we have some people or listeners, loyal listeners, who actually are pretty ticked off with us right now, and for that we humbly apologize if we've done anything to offend you. That was not our intent. Basically, at this point, what our intention is to make the show better, to make the show stronger, to make the show more relevant as far as timing. You know, we understand that you guys, first of all, got to get up and go to work or go to school or whatever. So we want to make it a little shorter. That's kind of one of the reasons that we decided not to take the phone calls. And like I said, if that was an offense to you, we certainly apologize. You know, with our staff, it's gotten a little heated. That was not our intent. We have decided to do the Twitter feed as just posting results and, you know, being a company Twitter. That's it. You know, Lee has decided to do his own personal Twitter with family and friends. That is his choice. You know, if that was something that struck you the wrong way, we certainly apologize, but that's kind of, Lee needs his personal time too. He does have a family. He's got his own obligations. And we're not saying that you're not important, because you are. But what we're saying is this has been blown way out of proportion. You know, it's been commented that the show has changed, that Lee has changed. That's certainly not the case. And if, like I said, if you feel that that is the case, you know, I can only apologize for Infinity One and also Lee as well. Because honestly, what our end goal is to give you the best show possible, to make it relevant. And what we really want is, if you know what, if you have things that you would like to do as far as one day, big guy dream is, you know, do my own show and so on and so forth. That's awesome, and we applaud you for that. But we actually certainly a weekly basis, mention other shows like Don Tony, PWR, shows like that, who we consider as milestones to people have come before us and certainly know how to get it right. We're, you know, just kind of making our mark at this point, and making it, you know, not even a year later, and certainly having an impact. Here lately, with the new year coming in, it's not kind of the impact we want, but we're going to work on making that better, thus making the shows better as well. And some of that is making the show shorter. So, you know, we're tweaking things at Infinity One so we can make it better for that new year and coming up on that year milestone. But going back to what I was saying about PWR and Don Tony, you know, those are milestone people. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. We take we give them praise, I should say. We give them praise for what we're doing, because without them, there would not be this show. That being said, you know what? We're all about trying to help out someone who is looking to kind of do something like that. We're all about giving pointers. We're all about, you know, helping you out. But if there's a hidden agenda there, that's a bit, you know, that makes it look a little bit dishonest. And sometimes people take offense to that. You know, is it always correct? No. But we're all human. We all take things out of proportion, and sometimes way out of proportion, you know, and then we can't get it back. We can't take back what we just said. We can't take back what we just tweeted, as it is in cyberspace and will be there forever. Thus, other people are seeing it. Thus, it's, you know, making one person or the other look like the bad guy. And thus, that is one of the reasons that we are making Infinity One Productions business only. Because, honestly, the drama and the personal things, if they're that personal, they need to be taken elsewhere. Thus, that is why we're doing this. We do this because we love you guys. We want to put on a good show. It will be and is continuing to be for the fans because we love what you do. And honestly, that's my 2 cents on it.
I agree with everything that you said 100%. That's because honestly, that's exactly how I'm feeling. And you know, I always say you can only get but so much out of 140 text character message that you are trying to put out there, as that's pretty much representing you. You know, you really have to put a thought process into the tweets that you put out there. And, you know, as Tammy said, the shows are going to be shorter, but, you know, we're making up for it in such a big way. I mean, every other month, we're going to be sitting up and we're going to have a Google Hangout. You're going to be able to interact with us. You're going to be able to see us. You're going to be able to hear us. You're going to be able to read our facial expressions. It's going to be a really cool, new, innovative way to interact with you, the wrestling fans. And we're going to do this for like about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Test it out, see how it works out. We have that planned for you all. We also have the phone lines that will be open on special occasions. So take, for instance, we got The Rock coming back next Monday night. And then the week after that, we have Raw celebrating their 20th anniversary. For sure, the phone lines will be open for that. Every single TNA, WWE pay-per-view, the phone lines will be open. But on top of that, the phone lines will also be open for any independent wrestling promotion that we cover. Need a perfect example? We did have the phone lines open for our Extreme Rising post show that we did over the weekend. So, I mean, all of these, you know, we're cutting back, but we're honestly making up in a very big way. And we really hope that you appreciate those changes that we're going to be making. And as the lovely Tammy mentioned there, you know, PWR, you know, David Hero, Damian Nelson, Don Tony, Kevin Castle, Conan, you know, all of those guys. There wouldn't be a RCWR show without those guys. As Tammy, in a nutshell, you said it perfectly. You know, they really paved the way. We wouldn't be here without them. And, you know, we got 1 year in the books. And though we are still just a little bit under the radar, you know, we are still making our mark. I mean, we are about to hit a milestone on YouTube. We're about to get 1 million views. Okay. Our show numbers continue to go up on a monthly basis. We continue to pick up new subscribers, new listeners. You know, we're not tooting our horn here. We're just setting the facts to let you guys know that, you know, the show is becoming quite popular. And if we ever thought at any time this show wasn't going to be a success, we would have stopped it a very long time ago. And, you know, with that, Tammy, I just really hope that going forward, we have really set the tone and we have really cleared up any type of confusion whatsoever. You know, Infinity One Prod is not a Twitter page where you can engage us in a series of personal conversations. Although I will say this, and this was the case for one of our followers, if you insult the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, that will come with a rebuttal, that I assure you. But other than that, we are just kicking back, watching what you all are saying for those respected shows while providing results for the shows, while providing show links for the show. Infinity One Prod is not a Twitter page where you can sit up and say, oh, hey, hope you had a really great day. Hey, hope you have a really great weekend. Hey, by chance, what's going to happen with this or what's going to happen with that? You can sit up and say, have a good show. If we can, we'll give you a tweet. We'll reply. We'll say thank you. But do not expect to be able to engage with us in chatter, as at this point Zed is no longer our Twitter guy. He's focusing on the website instead. So from time to time, it's mainly going to be me and Tammy that's going to be putting out tweets for Infinity One Prod. And we do a lot of multitasking as it is. There's so much stuff that we do behind the scenes. And one of the main reasons why the show is going to be shorter is because of post-production. You know, it's extra amount of time when you have to do a lot of work, and post-production is one of those problems. You know, many times back in the day when the show used to be 90 minutes to 120 minutes there, 2 hours for those of you that can't count. You know, it used to be a point where we'd go off the air at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, post-production work, remixing the works. We wouldn't be done until about 2:45, 3 in the morning. So that's one of the main reasons why, you know, we're kind of scaling back a little bit post-production and really just trying to utilize the show where it's strongest the most. And Tammy, I hope you agree with me in closing when I say this, which is we really hope that we've made our mark with what we just said, because we do care about our listeners. You know, we're still going to be throwing contests from time to time. You know, I don't want this topic to go into another week. I don't want to hear I've changed. You know, I don't want to hear any of that. If I hear any of that stuff again, we aren't going to even say anything to you. We aren't going to even give you a warning. We are just going to ignore you. And if you continue to hit us up with comments like that, then eventually we'll block you.
And I definitely want to reiterate and say kind of what, you know, Lee is telling you guys. We just want this, our talk right now is just to put an end to all this and make, you know, 2013 bigger, better, and basically, you know, honor you guys as far as our fans. But Lee is right. We cannot continue to be rehashing this, and you will not hear us talk about this again. Thus, it will just be, you know, if it continues to go on and, you know, you're not heeding our warnings, it will just be ignored and then blocked. And that is not in any way a slap in the face to you guys. It's just a business practice for us, because what I want you to take away from this is that we respect our fans, we enjoy that you are our fans, but we will not be belittled.
No. Good words right there. Let's go on ahead now and let's part ways from that, and let's talk about what had happened on WWE Raw this past Monday night, Tammy, where I want to pick your brain on a couple of key points. Now, we're not going to go in depth with WWE Raw, as we now have an exclusive post-show that comes on immediately after Monday Night Raw, and that's exclusive to our YouTube subscribers and audience. You can catch it at 11:45 p.m. on the East Coast every Monday night. Tammy, you know, one of the main takeaways that I'm still thinking about from Raw this past Monday night is the setup that they gave for The Rock for next week as the Great One, the Brahma Bull. He's going to be returning. And one just has to wonder here, is The Rock going to be crossing paths with the WWE Champion, CM Punk, as it could be a scenario where CM Punk could be facing Ryback for the WWE title contested in a TLC match, or it could be Paul Heyman taking on Ryback. Tammy, I want to pick your brain on this, because this is something that we had promised on the show tonight to our listeners that we were going to go more in depth with. How do you think WWE Creative needs to handle The Rock next week?
Well, that is a really, really good question. The Rock's return is actually, I guess if I were to say, you know, with CM Punk returning, if he's well enough to return, considering, you know, the storylines that I've been hearing that's kind of been out there, is, yeah, that he should, you know, go ahead and take on CM Punk, you know, for a succession of matches to possibly end with the title.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really good storyline, probably one of the very strongest that could possibly, besides maybe John Cena or Ryback.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I mean, I can't help but think about how The Rock, you know, they need to take advantage of this, because here's a perfect scenario right here where you got the Royal Rumble that's going to be coming up later this month. It's going to be Rock taking on CM Punk for the WWE title. So one way or another, CM Punk, The Rock, they will be getting it on. But you got to think about how they're going to set that up. Just think about that a little bit more, Tammy, and we'll come back on that, because I want to continue to take a little jab at you and really pick your brain there. You know, Raw from this past Monday night, a lot of folks, they sat up and they said that this was an episode that really wasn't memorable. They said that this episode was just as bad as the Christmas Eve episode. Now, I don't really know if I would go to that extreme, but I will say that WWE Creative, they did drop the ball a little bit on certain key story angles, and in this case from Monday's Raw, they dropped the ball big time when they revealed that 80-plus-year-old WWE Hall of Famer Mae Young was pregnant again. You're thinking to yourself, maybe she's about to give birth to the other hand, so that maybe she could have a matching pair of gloves, as we unfortunately still remember the first pregnancy there she had back in 2000, where Mark Henry was the baby daddy. Back then he was sexual chocolate. But this time around, Mae Young, she gives birth to Hornswoggle, comes out beard and all, drinking on a milk bottle. Tammy, I said this on our YouTube exclusive. I said that you have those people that suffer from having proper height, that are dwarves, midgets, that are always being picked on, they're always being belittled. And if there was ever truly a degrading moment that I've seen in the WWE, it was a time that I feared, you know, was going to happen. It was just a question of when. But WWE just insulting Hornswoggle like that. Now, I know that little motherfucker is getting paid, but I can't sit up and kind of feel sorry for the people that are that height challenged, that face mockery, they're at the butt of cruel jokes. What's your take on WWE Creative with that poor segment? You know, because I mean, obviously, it did not warrant any laughs in any type of way, and based on the reactions we had got from people, they didn't appreciate that segment.
Well, let's really start from the beginning. You're going to have an 80-year-old woman give birth. That, first of all, is somewhat possible if you're. I think I did hear of some 65-year-old woman giving birth, but that's really nor here or there. But honestly, that wasn't the storyline I would have expected. I mean, I understand new birth, new year, new, but really, Hornswoggle, and to kind of what you were saying, because of his height challenge, he is somewhat, no pun intended, the butt of a lot of jokes. It's unfortunate, but there's only, so much you can do with him. Mm-hmm. Do I think that was such a great idea? No. I mean, they could have done without the 80-year-old woman giving birth to him. Heck, they could have had him in a baby crib with a bib on and one of those things that covers your head,
mm-hmm.
And still had that, but it's a little bit out of character and somewhat tasteless.
Very tasteless indeed, I would have to say. Tasteless is the perfect word for that. And, you know, one Twitter follower, he had the best words that I could possibly think of when he saw that segment. He said, the Shield should come out and attack Hornswoggle, Mae Young, and the WWE writers for that poor segment, because that was true injustice that a fan had to sit through.
I completely agree with that comment.
Yeah, I mean, really, you know, you're like, God, didn't you guys learn anything from 2000? Here we are, 13 years later, and you're still rehashing the same bullshit. Come on now, it wasn't funny the first time. What makes you think it's going to be funny this time around? So I can kind of see where people kind of felt as though Raw was a little bit weak there, because at that point, there was actually quite a few number of people that had tuned out from that episode after seeing that particular segment. Of course, let's talk about some of the other areas of interest from Raw this past Monday night. We saw a new crowned Intercontinental Champion in Wade Barrett as he defeated Kofi Kingston. That actually shocked a lot of people. Many people were expecting for this title change to perhaps go down at a pay-per-view, but the fact that it had happened on an episode of Raw. Tammy, what are your thoughts on Wade Barrett? I know we've mentioned his name from time to time. He's definitely one of my favorites, but I can't help but think about the recent impressive mean streak that Kofi Kingston has been on ever since he had feuded with The Miz for the IC title, which culminated in him becoming the IC champion there. It seemed like WWE Upper Brass was starting to try to push him to new heights, but now we see him lose to Wade Barrett. What's your takeaway of Wade Barrett? What's your takeaway of Kofi Kingston now losing the title?
Well, first of all, Lee, both of them are amazing wrestlers. Their talents are outstanding. You know, as we remember, kind of going back into the year of 2012, before Wade Barrett's injury, he was on one heck of a roll.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, thus his new look and thus his talent, possibly just wanting to really see what they can do. Now, that is not in any way taking anything from Kofi, because he is also an awesome wrestler with his own moves and abilities. I'm not sure I quite agree with taking the belt off of him just yet. I really think that that's maybe just a smidge premature.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling that what they're trying to do is to bring out the best in both of them.
I really hope so, because at this point, I'm looking at this of what all went down with Kofi Kingston there. I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, is that it for a Kofi Kingston push? Is Kofi Kingston going to go right back down to that low mid-card status? Because it really started to look like he was climbing up the ranks there finally and really given that spotlight as a true singles competitor. Looked like he finally came full circle is where I'm getting at here. And I think a lot of people, I know I've said it before in the past, I've always looked at Kofi Kingston as one of those type of guys that is like Shelton Benjamin. Remember, Shelton Benjamin was in the WWE there for those good amount of years, had beat Triple H on Raw for 3 consecutive weeks. I mean, this guy looked like he was going to be a future champion at some point, but it didn't play out that way because Benjamin was always just comfortable where he was. He never excelled than low mid-card status. I can't really help but wonder what's going to be happening with Kofi Kingston right here. I really hope that him and Wade Barrett continue their program. I wouldn't actually be shocked to see Kofi possibly get the IC title back at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, as at this point he does have a rematch clause, I would think, because he's held that IC title for a couple of months now, so surely we'll see a rematch from them. Of course, one of the main attractions from Raw this past Monday night was Dolph Ziggler, AJ Lee, and as that Billy Idol song goes, it's a nice day for white wedding. As they were dressed in their all nice white attire, celebrating the new year. And John Cena was not invited to this New Year's Eve toast, but he would make his appearance anyway, be known. Very passionate words here coming from John Cena, Dolph Ziggler. You go to Dolph Ziggler's side, he says, hey, John Cena, he was voted for Superstar of the Year, Tammy. And it's a move that the WWE Universe, obviously they must have some type of mental problems. Worse than AJ Lee, because anybody that has common sense knows that John Cena, in the 10 years that he's been with the WWE, this was without a doubt his worst year ever. He lost to The Rock at WrestleMania. He lost to, my name is Mr. John Laurinaitis, at the Over the Limit pay-per-view. He was the first person to unsuccessfully cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase. He lost at the TLC pay-per-view. If I'm not mistaken, he even lost his match at SummerSlam. He got F5 by Brock Lesnar the night after WrestleMania. So you're just looking at all these things, and here he is. He's been voted the WWE Superstar of the Year. But then you go to John Cena's side, who comes out, really digs into Dolph Ziggler. He chewed him out. Chewed him so bad, he pretty much chewed him a new asshole, is the way I would describe it. Mentioning how Dolph Ziggler, he's had so many incarnations over the years. And total, for those of you keeping track, Dolph Ziggler's been in the WWE for 7 years. What does he have to show for it? Well, at one point he was a caddy. Then he was a cheerleader. Now he is this latest incarnation that you see running around. He was pushing brown hair. He was pushing white hair. He's pushing blonde hair. He had a big girlfriend. Now he's got a small girlfriend, and he's got a bodyguard, and he's only been a world heavyweight champion for possibly one episode. Basically, Dolph Ziggler hasn't done a damn thing in the WWE, and he is not one to be throwing stones. When some, Tammy, would argue that Dolph Ziggler is scared to cash in that Money in the Bank briefcase. But you know, thinking about it from a writing standpoint, I'm getting the impression that WWE Creative really isn't quite sure when they want to have him cash in this Money in the Bank briefcase. I mean, at this point, let me throw out there a two-part question to you. Your take on the great exchange between Dolph Ziggler, John Cena, where Cena dumps horse shit on them. Now, I'm guessing that's what that was. And your takeaway on just when exactly can we expect Dolph Ziggler to cash in this briefcase?
Well, that point of what you made as far as WWE not really sure when, it seems to be more or less that very point. As far as, you know, when are they going to cash it in? Because you kind of think, well, it could be then, it could be here, but then all of a sudden the event comes and goes, and it's like, okay, no changing of hands, no changing of the guards kind of thing. I think at this point, if there's any changing of hands, I really think that it's going to be not too much before WrestleMania. I mean, you're 3 to 4 months away from WrestleMania, and there's not even a mention at this point. I mean, there is a mention, but nothing concrete.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, you know, his exchange with him and John Cena, the last couple of times have been really good matches.
Yeah. Great storytelling too.
Mm-hmm.
Great storytelling too.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, Ziggler really hit it home though with John Cena, saying he's been pushing the same gimmick for 10 years, that it's time for him to get with the times. John Cena countering, saying he has been pushing that same attire because he believes in the words. He wears it like a uniform: hustle, loyalty, respect. And that he's possibly going to die in those clothings because he looks at it as a uniform. It's codes that he lives by. Just great exchange right here between John Cena, AJ Lee. You know, I cannot wait to see how this is going to play out. But at the same time, WWE kind of dropped the ball right here because you had John Cena come out and he's trying to cut this really great promo on Dolph Ziggler. Now, stay with me here, folks. And I skipped this on purpose to really go in depth about it on this episode tonight, for those of you that had checked it out on YouTube, because I had received a few comments saying, hey, you didn't mention John Cena winning the Royal Rumble. I did that on purpose. John Cena had the audacity as he was cutting this promo on Dolph Ziggler. Yes, I know I've had a rough year. I know everybody's had an off season, and I'm going to be looking into 2013. I'm looking ahead. I'm going to make some changes in a big way. And one of those changes, what's going to go down, I'm going to put myself into the Royal Rumble. I'm going to win it, and I'm going to go on to become a WWE champion. Now, let's pause right there. So, AJ Lee screwed you over at the TLC pay-per-view from winning the Money in the Bank contract for the World Heavyweight Championship. Dolph Ziggler, AJ, Big E, Langston, they continue to play the mind games. They continue to play their little dirty tactics, getting John Cena. And John Cena counters back by saying he's going to go to the Royal Rumble, win it, to become the WWE champion. Am I missing something here? It's like I'm getting the impression that John Cena's running away from Dolph Ziggler, because if you're going to become a WWE champion, how exactly does that put Dolph Ziggler into the equation when he's trying to become the World Heavyweight champion?
That's true. Well, it sounds more like John Cena interjecting himself into that particular event,
just to get the spotlight on him.
Right.
Yeah, just to get the spotlight on him, and try to, I just thought it was a poor delivery on WWE's part. I thought that could have been handled better. I think that announcement should have came on next week's Raw. I think that would have been a little bit more monumental, because we got Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. It's going to be making his return. We haven't seen the great one in almost a year, it feels like. As if I'm not mistaken, the last time we saw him was the night after WrestleMania. So, it's creeping up there to a year. But we got The Rock that's going to be coming back. Of course, I'm thinking about one of the main writers, Brian Gerwitz, that used to be the main go-to guys to write all of The Rock's material. Of course, he had been removed from as the Raw head writer, as WWE, they were looking for a fall guy earlier last year for the sudden decline in the ratings, of which, since they've removed Brian, the ratings have actually gotten worse. But they are keeping on Brian as a special correspondent because The Rock only wants to work with him because he writes some of the best stuff for Rocky. Tammy, how do you think WWE can and should utilize the most out of The Rock for next Monday night to really make it be a true success? Because we've seen the history here of The Rock popping up on Raw, and it seems like whenever he pops up, the whole landscape structure of the entire episode, it just seems to be a better product on that night.
Well, I honestly think that when he shows up, it's probably just the hype is there. Everybody's even more so on their A game. The fans are just through the roof to have him back, whether it be for one night, a little bit, however. The best utilization I can see is to either have him work with CM Punk, or maybe, because I don't know, having him work with Cena is kind of like, okay, is that really what we want to do right now? I mean, we already know the story. We already know what's happened, the history. Is that going to be more of the same? And not only that, CM Punk is your current heavyweight, current WWE champ. So, honestly, I think the best way to do that is to go with your current WWE champion. Maybe have Cena interfere because he's feeling lonely,
I see where you're getting at. I kind of see where you're getting at there. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, your whole thing is let The Rock focus on CM Punk. Don't be concerned with an exchange with John Cena, because it could look a little too obvious for some people that the rematch is going to go down. I think you're trying to say if it's going to happen, then kind of maybe dance around it.
Because we're all aware that the rematch is going to happen sooner or later. Because that's just what it is. It's Rock versus Cena. But, that's part of the reason that The Rock is back. It's helping the wrestlers that are in the WWE get over, be more prevalent, and just make them better. That's why he's there. That's why he came back, last year. That's why he's coming back now. Thus, also some of the other wrestlers that have come back. That's why they're there, because let's face it, as much as we love having them back, they're not going to be there forever.
That's true. Here's what I would like to see happen with The Rock returning next Monday night. I think that, and there's so many different angles. Okay, let's just get this out the way right now. There's no way in hell I'm expecting The Rock to show up like at the end of the night. I'm not expecting nothing like that. I think with a 3-hour episode of Raw, I think they're gonna have to do what's right here, which is to spread The Rock out during the course of all 3 hours. That's really a smart way you can do it. Now, I think one of the things that needs to happen, I think there needs to be some type of a backstage segment with John Cena. I think The Rock, John Cena, it would just be so perfect. We could just have John Cena walking backstage, boom, he bumps into The Rock. Rock can be like, Cena. Cena can look at him and go, Rock. And Rock can be like, been keeping track of what all you've been up to. Looks like you had a pretty rough year. And Cena could say something along the lines of, 2013 is going to be my year. I'm looking to win the Royal Rumble and become the next WWE champion. And The Rock can sit up and say, well, if that's going to be the case, then I'll be waiting for you at WrestleMania. And you could just leave it at that. Okay? Leave it at that. Now, you can also set up a segment with Ryback and The Rock. I know a lot of people have been wondering how that exchange would go down. That's something I would really, really, really love to see happen right there. Now, there's two ways that could play out. That could play out in a way where another backstage segment, Rock could bump into him, or Rock could have something to do with the main event match between CM Punk and Ryback. If there was ever a time to really get involved, that would be a really great moment. And I mean, quite honestly, one of the things that really still stands out in my mind, it's still fresh in my mind. I can't help but go back to Raw 1000, Tammy, where we had saw CM Punk in the ring, looked like he was getting ready to get beat up by the Big Show. The Rock comes out there, he lays out the Big Show, gets ready to do the people's elbow. Wham! CM Punk attacks him, hits him with a GTS, leaves him laid out, and that was the last time that we saw The Rock. I don't know about you, but I think if there was ever a time to get a little bit of payback, some boots to asses, it would be the perfect time in that main event match. Screw CM Punk there, but at the same time, leave it wide open for a potential Rock versus Ryback feud, as Ryback could just be fuming that The Rock interfered in his match.
I really see something happening with Ryback and The Rock. I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah.
I really think that would hype him up, so much more.
WWE Creative, they have a golden opportunity right here, and I must admit, I would be really disappointed if they did not have The Rock and the Ryback collide in the way that I'm suggesting right now, because can you just imagine the roof of that arena, and Raw is going to be live next week. We're finally going to get Raw live back, first time in a couple of weeks. Can you just imagine how that crowd is going to be? They're going to be very explosive to see Ryback and The Rock standing toe to toe. And you know what? It's a door that can just be left wide open. They could just come back to at a later date. But just to have that image there of just those two guys, Ryback would go over big time. Big time.
Definitely.
Yeah. But that's the way they really need to utilize The Rock. But again, they need to stretch it out during the course of those 3 hours. If you want to keep the viewers' interest, you're going to have to do something, whether it involves a funny backstage skit with The Rock. And hey, I actually wouldn't mind seeing him do a funny skit with the Funketeers and Brodus Clay. That's something you can do right there. Another thing that you can do is maybe have him do something with Hornswoggle. There's plenty of angles that you can have him do. Tammy, brainstorm just went off in my head. You can even have the Shield attack The Rock. There's an article that I had wrote that's at our website at Infinity One Productions. I highly encourage you guys to go check it out. It's a very special article. I wrote why CM Punk needs to defeat The Rock at the Royal Rumble. And I want you guys to read that. And I had just set up a domino chain of effects of how everything could just play out at WrestleMania. And it's a really great read. It received quite a few comments. Go check that out. And, like I said, if there was ever a time for the Shield to really make their mark, really get high up there, really get that seal of approval, as if Ric Flair wasn't enough, Tommy Dreamer wasn't enough, to be able to do something with The Rock, that would be phenomenal as well. Let's switch gears up a little bit and let's talk about the very latest in wrestling-related news. For you guys that remember Kurt Angle being in the WWE, we got some latest news for you guys. Some good news at that, as TNA President Dixie Carter, she just announced on Twitter last night that Kurt Angle and his wife, they welcomed their daughter into the world. She said, congrats to real Kurt Angle and Giovanni of the birth of their daughter tonight at 9:40 p.m. Eastern. Welcome beautiful Sophia to the TNA family. So proud. Kurt Angle, he also commented on the birth of his daughter, saying 18 hours at the hospital, Sophia Lane Angle was born, 7 pounds, 12 ounces, 20 inches. I'm a proud daddy of 4 beautiful kids. Blessed. He was trying to say of. I get that. Of 4 beautiful kids. Blessed. We're very, very proud for Kurt Angle. Mad congratulations right there. Came so close to being a January baby.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, you know, whenever a baby comes into play, it's blessed, no matter what time of year it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, I hear those January 1st babies that are born at 12 a.m., 12:01. I hear babies that are born around then, they get like mad money. They're set for life. You know, if only the baby would have stayed in just a couple of more hours.
Well, you know, when it's coming, there's not much you can do to stop it if that's what their decision is.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, you hear that, you know. That's good. It's nice to hear good things happening in wrestling right now. You know, Tammy, we got to take this time out and we got to thank the listeners once again for casting their votes last month, as we had a poll that was open where we had asked them who did they think was the TNA Wrestler of the Year, also who did they think was the WWE Wrestler of the Year. And for that, TNA, they had chose, I believe it was Jeff Hardy, yes, Jeff Hardy. And for WWE, they actually chose CM Punk. So at least according to our poll, CM Punk won, and he won by just a couple of points. I believe he won by about 3-4 points right there. But mad props to those of you that had cast in your votes for that. We appreciated that. And also, we should let you guys know that coming up next Monday night, for the next 2 Mondays, January 7th, January 14th, we're going to be making a rare Monday night appearance at 11 p.m. Eastern immediately after WWE Raw. Now, next week, of course, as we just highlighted, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is going to be returning. And we're going to have a very special guest that's going to be joining us on that episode. You may know him. He used to be one of the correspondents for the Pro Wrestling Report's Monday Night Meltdown. He also used to be the co-host of Sudden Impact Radio with our good buddy Meathead on Twitter. It's none other than the Diamond K. So I highly encourage you to check out that show next Monday night. It's going to be a really, really good episode. Tammy, are you going to be there?
We'll see. I have some engagements. We'll see what I can switch around, and we'll see if we can join you guys on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good show either way, but if we can make it be a trio, that would be really awesome. And then, of course, on January 14th, basically the next week after The Rock returns, it's going to be the 20th anniversary episode of Raw. We're going to be making another rare Monday night appearance, so you want to make sure you join us for that. It's not every day that we come on a Monday night. So for those of you that have always been wanting us to come on a Monday night, here's your opportunity. You got 2 weeks there back to back. Highly encourage you to join us. And if you're not going to be able to check out our episodes live in progress, make sure that you subscribe to us in the iTunes Zune marketplaces. Just use the keywords, the RCWR Show, and you'll be able to find our episodes and subscribe. Check it out for all your iDevices and portable devices. And, let's talk about that Extreme Rising DVD there. I got to give the final verdict on that. I actually did watch a few highlights. I haven't watched it all in its entirety because it's so long, but it's so damn good. I have to admit, despite hearing the reports of the false start time and the delays and the event not ending on time, people leaving, the food being bad, yada, 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 yada. All this I've already said on the Extreme Rising post show, which you can check out in our archive section and on downloads. I have to admit that this pay-per-view was a very, very enjoyable pay-per-view. I still remember the very first Extreme Reunion event that I had ordered and I got on DVD, and I just remember how disappointed I was with that. I was more excited for the woman that had revealed her tatas to the entire audience than some of the matches that they had there. Although I do remember the match with Jerry Lynn. I thought that was good. If I'm not mistaken, it was Jerry Lynn taking on C.W. Anderson. I could be mistaken. That might have been Al Snow taking on C.W. Anderson, but I know for a fact Jerry Lynn was there. He was wrestling. I remember really being into that, and this was the same case this time around. I was really into the match that he had this past Saturday. And, you know, I must admit that it seems that the organization has come a long way from the very first pay-per-view that just kind of has me going, okay, well, if we can just fine-tune some of the time management problems that they've been experiencing, then they're going to have one hell of a well-oiled machine. And Tammy, I know you had heard some of what I had did on the post-show for that pay-per-view. Would you agree with the advice that I had gave out there to Shane Douglas and crew? Something else you'd like to add to that?
Well, you know, we understand that putting on a show is a lot of work. You know, personally, we do it to a point, but it's not a live show. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, when you have a live product and you have people who are coming to an event and expect you to start at the time that you're going to start, I mean, it's one thing if you're 5-10 minutes late, but when you're an hour or two, you know, late with the product and really starting the matches, people are going to be disappointed, and they're honestly going to be taking a second thought on whether they want to attend your event again. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, we understand that things happen, you know, but it's so important to have that, you know, timing down and make sure that you're prompt. From what I've heard of the pay-per-view, the matches were awesome. So that does make up for, you know, some of the time that was kind of, for lack of better words, wasted of the people who are joining the show and the late hours that they got home. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But at least it got made up by having a knockout show, you know.
Yeah, matches that really stood out to me in my mind: Jerry Lynn versus Homicide, El Hell del Rey Mysterious versus Batista 666. Another match that stood out in my mind was Jay Bradley versus Facade, Papadon versus Little Guido, Rhino versus Stevie Richards. And once again, we got to give a mad congrats to Stevie Richards. He's been in the business for so long, 41 years old. It just seems like he was never given that opportunity to be the man in all the respective promotions that he's been in. And he's been through them all. He done some stuff for WWE. He did some stuff for, WCW. He did some stuff for TNA. Just seemed like he never really got his fair share. And it's nice to see that at Extreme Rising, he finally became the man. Might not be up there with a WWE title or a World Heavyweight title or a TNA title, but you know what? It's the next best damn thing. I'm definitely proud of him. I highly encourage you guys to go check out this pay-per-view. It is a pass. Correction. Yeah, I said that right. It's not a fail. It's a pass. Yeah. I highly encourage you guys to go buy this. You can get this on the Extreme Rising website. It's about $24. That's before shipping costs and all of that. But I do encourage you to check it out. Something nice you can add to the inventory right there. All right, so we got all eyes set on Thursday night. It's going to be the return of Impact Showdown Radio. We're going to cover the fallout from that respected episode of Impact Wrestling as the Icon Sting is going to be making his return, and he's going to be looking for some serious payback as he's trying to get his hands on the aces and eights. He wants to get his hands on Doc and Devon. Will he be able to extract revenge? We'll let you know the 411 on that, and we'll also let you know the very latest in TNA wrestling-related news and so much more. So make sure that you check that out this Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern right here on this very website. And, right before we go off the air, I want to just send a heartfelt thank you to the good staff of Blog Talk Radio, as always, as they continue to support us. They continue to give us good praise. And we appreciate, once again, our listeners. And, hopefully, just to go back on what was said earlier tonight, hopefully from here on out, everything will be peachy. As, we do this for all our listeners, even the ones that might be a little bit shy and they might not want to get their voice heard, whether it be online or whether it be via text. We do this show for you all, so we really hope you appreciate it and you continue to support us, as we'll always be here. We will always cover to the best of our knowledge what all is happening in this crazy entertainment sport known as professional wrestling. As the name of the game for 2013 is all about collaborating with other great minds that cover this sport to really be able to present to you all sides, all voices, and of course your voice being part of that as well. No matter how little or how often we may open up our phone lines, you still have the tools necessary that's able to interact with us. It's up to you, those of you that are listening, on deciding whether or not you're going to utilize those tools to be able to interact with us. And for that person that always says, hey, great show, is there anything I can do to really help you guys out? It's all about word of mouth. You like it, spread the good word, let your friends, let your family members know about it. And really, that's the greatest gesture that you can do for us, and we humbly thank you in advance. Tammy, final thoughts?
For me, just, kind of second everything you just said. This is a brand new year, and, we kind of try to make everything better, and we certainly thank you for checking us out, continuing to check us out. And just like Lee said, if you like what you hear, word of mouth is the best way to spread the good word, as we say. And we honestly want to send out a thank you very much to all of our listeners, our fans, our loyal listeners, for their support throughout last year and the continued support for this year.
Yeah. Well, she is the lovely co-producer Tammy, and I am the Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders. That is going to do it, folks. We're going to get the hell up out of here, but we will see you this Thursday night for Impact Showdown Radio. Meantime, be sure to check out our website at infinityOneProductions.com for all the very latest and wrestling-related news and so much more. That's going to do it. Y'all be safe and be kind to one another, folks. We will see you next time around. Everybody, take care.